Cindy Libert. Welcome to the Lean Out podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful today. It's been raining here, which is actually most welcome. We have had a really dry, hot drought like summer. So it's been good. It's not pouring outside though, so it's not making a lot of noise, which is nice. So we can focus on chatting. So, why don't you start out by introducing yourself to the audience and tell us about your work life balance, your current roles, and how they might be different from someone else in your profession?
Okay. Well, I'm Dr. Cindy Libert. I'm a board certified family physician, and I serve as CEO and founder of Caring for the Body Center for Functional Medicine here in Asheville, North Carolina. And it's nice and sunny and cool here in the mountains of Western North Carolina.
Awesome.
This is my dream practice. We've had our 6-year anniversary in February of this year, our business anniversary. So that was a major milestone. I have a small team of a nurse practitioner, a PharmD, who's also a functional medicine practitioner, health coaches, and administrative staff. And a major milestone has been hiring a practice manager this year as well, after 6 years of wearing all the hats, trying to balance that with clinical work. But we serve people, helping them manage and navigate complex chronic illness. And also my passion is health optimization, helping people with their brain health, holistically, mental health, and health span optimization. So those are my passions. Beyond medicine, I'm a wife. I've been married to my husband for 25 years, and we have 3 lovely daughters. Our oldest just turned 21, and our youngest just started high school. So lots of great transitions and growing and flourishing going on. And to answer your question of how my life and practice is different than my colleagues, uh, definitely, as you know, most of my colleagues in family medicine are working for corporations and, on that treadmill of seeing a patient every 15 minutes and just with the focus on insurance billing and coding and all the bureaucracy that comes along with interfacing with the third-party payer system. I've taken a different path, stepped out of the conventional medicine realm so that I can spend time with my patients and really delve into the root causes of why someone might be ill and get to talk to them about life and nutrition and fitness and even, spirituality. So it's definitely a different path. It's been the rough way up the mountain, so to speak, but I'm very grateful to have finally be in a position to have my dream practice.
That's great. And it just sounds like that you are able to spend a lot of time with people who have a lot of complex things happening. So, what would be an example of a patient that would come to you where you're going to manage like a complex chronic illness, as you mentioned?
Well, my niche within the practice is brain health optimization. So most of my patients are 40s to 60s, high achievers. They're, really smart and proactive people, but maybe struggling with cardiometabolic issues, hypertension, prediabetes, hypothyroidism. Maybe they have a family history of dementia and a parent, and just I love, getting in and rolling up my sleeves and helping them identify their risk factors that are potentially reversible for chronic disease and cognitive decline. So that's my sweet spot is working in kind of that prevention mode and helping people get healthy. My colleague, my nurse practitioner, she is very well versed in Lyme disease and mold and just, very, very complex chronic illness that her specialty is is, working with that on a herbal medicine standpoint and just really innovative therapies. Whereas lifestyle medicine is my passion.
Mm. And I can imagine that an encounter like that is not gonna be something you can just do in 15 minutes, like you mentioned. So, how did you decide to venture away from the typical family practice, employment type model to strike out on your own?
Yeah. Well, very long story, but there's been, lots of little hinge moments along the way. Residency was kind of a disillusioning time for me because I thought, going into family medicine, I was gonna get to really talk to people, get to know their families and have this relationship with them. But especially in training, a lot of the work is done in the hospital. A lot of it is, crisis management and, all good stuff that needs to be done, but just it wasn't what I was hoping for and anticipating. Just a big focus on the pharmaceutical model and surgical interventions and things like that. And so, philosophically, I tend toward more natural medicine, wanting to use lifestyle, diet, and exercise, and stress management, and sleep, and relationships, all of those things as the foundation for my treatment, and that takes time. You can't it's pretty easy to write a prescription and order some lab work and, "Okay, I'll see you in 3 months." But it's a whole 'nother story to sit down and really have someone tell you their whole health journey from preconception to, through each decade of life. I just really love getting to hear people's stories, just the pain points that come up along the way and helping them connect the dots with the mental, emotional, and spiritual piece of things. And so some of the hinge moments had to do with kind of a burnout state or just a depletion state from my early training and the sleep deprivation involved with residency. And I had my first baby during residency, and so I was up at on the call room at the hospital pumping breast milk at night and skipping sleep every third or fourth night. And that really took a toll on my body and led to some challenges. And then early on, I had a private practice in a rural area where we did full scope family medicine. I attended births at the hospital and did rounds at the nursing home and hospice and, juggled all that with my clinic work, all the while having 3 young daughters at home. And so it was just a recipe for burnout and depletion. So part of my movement away was philosophical, wanting to, break free of the constraints of the third-party payer system and be able to spend time with patients and treat them how I would want to be treated. And the other part was just necessity because I was so depleted trying to pour out to others in this way without taking care of myself as I needed to.
Yeah, well, we all do, and I think it can be a big wake-up call. Definitely that, and then also just that nagging feeling like you are misaligned, your values are misaligned with what the work that you're doing presently can lead to wanting to change. But making a change like that is a big step, especially when you are shouldering a huge part of the financial responsibilities for your family and you have 3 children. So, how was it for you to go into an uncertain business situation, back in those years when you broke away from the traditional employment?
Yeah. Well, I think it helps to be stubborn and maybe a little naive. Who starts a medical practice with a couple $1,000s in their bank account? But yeah, I would say the journey, has been full of lessons, and probably the hardest part was that financial uncertainty and just the weight of responsibility of having your own business and balancing that with family life. But I certainly, over the years, my core values are, autonomy and freedom to be able to practice creatively in the way that I want to and spend the time that I desire to with my patients. And that has far outweighed the negative challenges that I've had to work through over the years. And, many, many times I would think, well, Cindy, you could just pick up the phone and call a recruiter and be making, 2 or 3 times as much as you are, working your tail off here. But when you really believe in something, what you're doing and it's in alignment, as you mentioned, with your core values, then it makes it worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find that patients have a hard time accepting the non-traditional, non-insurance model, or are they more open to it because you're offering something that is unique?
Yeah. I never worried about that. I know it's a hang up for a lot of doctors who are trying to, break free of the system, but just my own mindset, we you pay to go to the dentist or get your car repaired or to the lawyer. And I always, saw the distinct value that I was bringing in terms of being able to who who goes and sits down with their doctor for 2 to 3 hours for a new patient visit and, an hour or more for follow-ups, and, they can message me anytime, and, it's it my patients, tend to self-select. They're educated, they see the value, and so, that really hasn't been a big objection. I know my patient care coordinator does lots of phone calls, and there's, plenty of people that, stop right after she says, "First thing you need to know is that we're outside the insurance system, and we don't file that." And, we post our rates on the website to be very transparent, just to let people know that we're, out of the box. And, I think the value of what we offer just speaks for itself. When they call, usually somebody answers the phone and we get back to them quickly, and they value that I've, kind of broadened my perspective just beyond just the conventional medicine, and I have other things to offer in terms of expertise in nutrition and herbal medicine and nutritional supplementation and all these other, fun, evolving, alternative therapies. So,
Mm.
um, that's not been a barrier.
That's really good. And interestingly, I think you hit on something, which is that um, the particular area you're interested in does self-select for a certain type of person. It's someone that is very motivated, that is educated, that knows that they need more help and more support beyond your traditional, 10-minute visit where it's just like you're a number and you're getting the same advice as everybody else, and they want something more than that. So, do you have any advice for people who are interested in breaking away and doing something specialized like that, and how to choose their niche or their kind of area of expertise?
Yeah. Well, that's such a great question, and I've resisted the idea of having a niche for so long, and I know that's common in the functional medicine world or, even primary care world, because we can help all things, so many people. We don't wanna limit ourselves, but when you have a niche, it expands your impact because people, identify, "Oh, I'm a, 45-year-old person with cardiometabolic issues, and my mom had dementia, and I don't wanna go that route." So, when you start to talk about who you love to serve, then it draws them to you. And I think that's the answer is picking your niche is thinking about who is it that you can uniquely help and that brings you joy and energy and excitement to think about serving that particular niche of people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And I love talking about joy and energy management with clients and, with people in this podcast. How are you gaining energy and what depletes you? Because whatever is depleting you, sometimes you can minimize or eliminate those things, but sometimes you can't totally take them away from your work life balance. So then, how can you add joy with something else that fills your bank account? So, yeah, very good advice. What has been the hardest part about being an entrepreneur with a growing business for you?
Hmm. Well, goodness, it's more of a in between my ears. The mindset piece, developing that entrepreneurial mindset of, not a negative mindset where, you fail at something, oh, that's a disaster. I can't do that, but rather, shifting in trying to cultivate a growth mindset where I see everything as an opportunity. And I'm really enjoying playing with that concept of looking at challenges that way. And I'm trying to instill that in my team is that we are, our identity is that we are tenacious problem solvers. And just, having the expectation that entrepreneurial journeys, running a business, particularly a medical practice, is going to be full of challenges. And it is just part of the process to learn to work through those and keep a positive mindset about it, that you're always learning, you're always growing. And so working with my mindset has been the biggest breakthrough. Also, just learning how to be patient and, iterate, making small changes and adjustments as you sense that they need to be made. It's been a long journey arriving at this year of hiring my practice manager, and I'm so grateful because, frankly, there wasn't the funding to fund someone's salary to do that. And, we started off small with an internal person who was helping out in an independent contractor way previously with just IT and marketing, but we've grown, over the years together, and she's amazing. And, we're starting out part-time. And so just being patient and realizing, there's different seasons in the development of a practice. And, my advice would be to try to hire a practice manager as soon as you can, but, do it thoughtfully and be patient for the right timing.
Yeah. So we met last year in spring of 2025 at the Revitalize Physician Renewal Retreat. And I remember having a long conversation with you about this and just about being on the cusp of expanding enough that you could hire this person, or maybe you were in the process of onboarding her. And you were so excited for expanding in that way and having a little bit of the relief of the roles, taking some of the roles off of you and off of people that were doing double duty, and how, you crave so much autonomy. And that's one of the reasons that you really branch out into something like this, into an entrepreneurial type role. But then at the same time, you're so busy in the beginning trying to get it off the ground.
Mhm.
So now that you are getting a little more into that phase of being able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, what kind of things are you doing on the side for yourself, just for joy and for your own fulfillment?
Oh, thank you for asking me about that, Dawn. I love to dwell in that because it's such a gift to, that is, and it's important to keep those things top of mind, to keep, when you're going through the hard challenges and doing doing the extra work, it helps to see the dream and the outcome. So yeah, I'm getting to really dial in my fitness. I'm working with a trainer twice a week, and I would never have had the time freedom to do that in a an employed doctor job and primary care. So getting to do that, and I've had about a 15-year dream of doing some sort of additional formal education with my Christian faith. And so this year I got to enroll in Denver Seminary. There's a soul care and spiritual direction certificate program, and I am just eating that up. Love every minute of it. Just being able to lean in to my faith and just get myself equipped to be an even better listener and show up better for my, daughters and my husband and friends and family, and of course my patients as well. I'm getting to do all kinds of fun passion projects. There's so many, I probably couldn't list them. For 5 years now, I've been doing a soul care group with my patients. Once a month, we meet on Zoom, and it's just been so, so lovely and fulfilling. That, and I have a faith community here in Asheville, Reach Life Church, that I adore, and getting to plug in with them, teaching Sunday school. So, yeah, I'm getting to live life on my terms and having a greater level of just contentment and physical health, mental health, being able to have the time to, sleep and take care of myself, exercise, um, invest in good nutrition and some coaching for myself. So all of those things are the fruit of my labor, and I'm really grateful.
I love hearing this. And also, you recently started a podcast where you're able to talk a little bit more about your specific area of interest. So tell me the name of the podcast again and what kind of things that you share there.
Yeah, it's Rethink Aging with Dr. Libert. It's on YouTube and iTunes and all the podcast places. But this is also a passion project. It's a way for me to show up authentically and share my passion around lifestyle medicine, brain health optimization, increasing our health span, the time we're alive and well. And I'm also bringing my faith into it, so that allows me to be, fully authentic and create community around people that want to be good stewards of their bodies, not just into longevity. It's a fun new adventure, and I'm learning a lot and getting to meet some really neat people that I'm interviewing.
I love that. And we will both be speaking at the 2026 Revitalize Physician Renewal Retreat. I will be talking about leading a medical life less ordinary and leaning out, basically. What are you going to be focusing on in your talk there?
I am going to be speaking on my entrepreneurial journey. I've put together a really neat slideshow using the analogy of being pregnant, gestating, birthing, and caring for the baby, which, is a practice. So I'm just going through the journey and sharing some of the hardships and challenges. I mean, we went through the pandemic the first year, then we had a hurricane in Asheville. Uh,
Oh,
so it's been some challenges, and I've learned a lot of things that I, want to pass on to my physician colleagues, because I think that being in private practice, being an entrepreneur, it can be a lonely road, but it's so rewarding, and it really allows you to step into your full authenticity and practice on your terms. So I'm excited to share.
that sounds like such a good analogy, and it's going to be a great talk. And I just want to put a plug in for anyone that's listening that's a physician to consider going to this retreat, because Cindy and I met each other there. We had an immediate connection. We've stayed in touch. It's a great place to form connections with like minded people. just like us. And if you're interested in any of these topics we just mentioned, and there are many more, I'm going to put a link in the show notes so that you can see the brochure and what is going to be offered. And it's April 9th through 11th, 2026. So it's a long time away. You have a long time to figure out your vacation schedule and arrange to get to the Zion National Park Wilderness area of St. George, Utah, and join us. So, Cindy, I would also like to ask you in closing today, what other advice you might have for physicians or any professional that feels like they are stuck, that they are stuck on that treadmill, like you said in the beginning, and wanting to make a change, but don't really know how to make the first step?
Yeah, such a good question. Well, first of all, I have deep compassion for my colleagues. I totally understand, just the feeling of you put so much energy and effort and financial investment in this process of training to become a doctor, and then you find yourself burned out, disillusioned, and it's not a personal failing. Number one, it's just, it's take a deep breath and realize that it's okay to reevaluate, to pivot, and just start small, start dreaming, and pick a day and just kind of try that idea on, make a brainstorm, get out in nature somewhere, take a day to just allow yourself to get some creative rest, and then start trying on, like, what would it look like if I had a direct primary care practice or I started a medical consultant business? Like, what would my life feel like? What are the, initial steps that I would take? And then just kind of try it on mentally for a day or two. And definitely getting coaching. I think it is wonderful that you offer coaching for physicians and other professionals. I've found coaching invaluable over the years for myself, just to, verbally process and work on some of those mindset hangups that drag me down. So yeah, get yourself coaching, find a mentorship group, business mastermind. I want to plug the Physicians Retreat in Utah as well. It's such a beautiful destination, and it was a transformative event for me. I was already well into my journey, but there was some great mindset shifts that happened for me there, and wonderful connections. It can be scary when you're, doing things on your own, but when you surround yourself with people that maybe are doing things that you might want to do, that can make the path easier.
Yeah. And listening to the podcast gives some inspiration because you hear people doing things, but taking it a step further would be meeting some people in person at a retreat or a conference that's very specialized to that kind of mindset. So, yeah, I think you're totally spot on there. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm so happy that you joined me and that you shared your journey and your wisdom here today.
Oh, well, thank you, Dawn. I appreciate the opportunity. It's been a real pleasure.